I thought today I'd look at a country I covered once before, but not in as much depth as I wanted to. Whether you are casually interested or looking to move to China, a few common city-related terms pop up that are of interest. Provincial city, sub-provincial city, county-level city. While these names feel self-explanatory, it can get confusing for those of us more familiar with a map like this and less like this. China has 360 cities with over 100,000 people and 65 with over 1 million. There's a lot of information to absorb and get lost in. Before we get into the thick of things here, I just want to say that I'm not an expert on Chinese cities, so if you notice anything I miss, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below. So first, let's look at the 4 special municipalities of China. In Mandarin, these are called Zhexiaxi, or directly governed cities. These are the capital Beijing, the city of Chongqing, northern Tianjin, and the coastal city of Shanghai. In China, the mayors of these cities are often treated as equal to government ministers in rank and are given a space at the National People's Congress. I think a decent equivalence would be if the top 5 cities in the United States each got their own 2 senators. The smallest of these cities is Tianjin, which is just under 13 million. The largest, both in terms of population and area, is Chongqing, which was created out of Sichuan province in 1997. Officials in districts of these centrally governed cities are typically equal to the rank of a prefecture-level city mayor, which we will look at in just a bit. These municipalities are provinces in their own right, functionally. Something that is very unique to Chinese cities at large is that the entire area is not built-out urban land. Districts of Chinese cities can include a mix of urban and rural populations. This urban-rural divide can become a factor in how these cities and their governments serve the population. These are the urban-rural numbers for the 4 municipalities. While these 4 cities are no doubt where most people choose to move and research, there's a host of other cities that we have to explore. Next up, we have prefecture-level cities. China has just under 300, and Shenzhen is one of them. All prefecture-level cities must have at least 250,000 in population and a GDP of at least $32 million USD each year. As of the 2015 National People's Congress, cities across China have been granted legislative authority, but largely due to the passage of time, it's unclear how this has been implemented. If anyone has an idea, please let me know. Prefecture-level cities usually will have within their borders districts, county-level cities, and counties. A good example of a prefecture-level city would be Zhengzhou in Henan, as well as Suzhou in Jiangsu province. Governmentally speaking, there is a lot of dual responsibility. Firstly, to the residents of their urban districts, as well as to governing the county-level cities below them. There's a very key distinction made between the urban core and just the prefecture generally, which I will display in Mandarin with English translation. Finally, we come to the county-level city. This is by far the smallest meaningful division of city in China. They are also the newest form of administration, only really existing for the last 40 years. These cities do not have administrative divisions similar to higher order entities. However, they do have villages and towns below them. Some cities are directly governed by a province, meanwhile others are put under the administration of a prefecture. At just over 63,000 people, the town of Mangya in Qinghai is the largest county-level city in square kilometers. Linjia, the capital of a Hui autonomous region in Gansu province, is the smallest in terms of area, but is approaching 300,000 residents. You remember that list I showed a minute ago to illustrate the different city types? It gets a bit more complicated. While these distinctions are, from what I understand, mostly unofficial, please let me know if I'm wrong in the comments down below. The fact is that there are different steps of government between the three I already listed. First, there's the classification of a sub-provincial city or sub-provincial division. These are a half step between a prefecture-level city and a provincial-level city, the directly governed municipalities. The city of Dalian in northeastern China is one example, and so are pretty much all of the nation's provincial capitals. Next, we move on to the sub-prefecture cities. Officially, these are county-level cities with a little bit more responsibility and authority. All of the sub-prefecture level cities of Hainan Island, for instance, are considered to be independent of a prefecture government. This wouldn't be a video explaining Chinese cities if I didn't talk about the tier system. These are not official designations as far as I know in any stretch of the imagination. It's just something people kind of came up with, probably at a bar in Guangzhou. Truly, this is the original tier list meme. A few conflicting things exist across Wikipedia, so for today I'm just going to give you a basic rundown of how these seem to be categorized for me. So let's get right into it with talking about the Tier 1 city. Tier 1 cities are typically listed as Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, sometimes Shenzhen or Tianjin depending on the list. These are the world-class cities people will think of if they basically know nothing about China besides, oh, look at that big skyscraper. You find a lot of very expensive brands, great local chains like Haidilao and a couple of others. Public transit is extremely accessible, a lot of top universities. You get the idea, right? These are the premier cities of China. Tier 2 cities, on the other hand, are provincial capitals, really touristy areas. I think Suzhou is technically a Tier 2. Many of the cities in the Pearl River Delta that are not as flashy as Shenzhen also fly into this category. Tier 3 cities are functionally left up to the writer's imagination. There's often no real rhyme or reason. I imagine Chinese sources would be a lot more specific, but Western sources not really going to get much out of there. So you see Tier 1, 2, and 3, but what's this final box on my list? Well, that's for Tier 88, or Tier 888. As far as I know, this specific classification of city originated on Reddit, and it's been just a really bad joke among the expat community in China. The fact is that Tier 88 is generally ascribed to cities where people don't find nearly as many amenities, like maybe they're missing Starbucks, or they had a really bad apartment their first week in the city, so they call it a Tier 88, because, oh, compared to Shanghai, my apartment is so much worse, neglecting the fact that they probably spend a tenth on rent. All told, this is just a general guideline. It's not a hard and fast rule to anything. And if you live in China, please let me know what you think about this whole tier list idea. I'd really love to hear from you. When I started research in making this video, I wanted to focus on the 4 municipalities, but I quickly realized that I was falling into the trap of my first video where I gave a very high-level overview, and I felt like there's more to be covered, both for my own sake and for yours, so that you know this more, niche information of a tier list that exists, and how there are these different levels of city that are not typically found in other nations. What I hope you take away from today is a sense of scale in what an urban landscape can truly be.